Greetings and salutations, my friends. Welcome to another Football Manager 2017 guide. Today we are looking at Manchester United. To be fair, as a Liverpool fan, not been looking forward to this one as much, but we will go ahead with gusto and pretend it's somebody else. At least we've taken Mourinho's job and he's jobless now, so that's a bonus. So what we're going to do with this team guide is we're going to talk through the philosophies of the club, what the board expect us to achieve this season, the transfer budget and wage budgets. We're going to have a quick look at staff to see if there's any improvements needed, the team report. We're also going to go through the under-18s and under-23s briefly, just to see if there's any little hidden gems, any really good youth talents there that we can get going, like the next Rashford. And then we're going to look at the squad as a whole, talk about the strengths and weaknesses of the team, possible sort of beginning tactics we might use, where we're going to spend all our money. So let's get straight into it. Also, how much fun will this save be? How much of a challenge will it be? So let's get into it. First off, the board expect us to play attacking football and develop players using the club's youth system. I think that's perfectly fine. How much cash have we got to spend, please? £31.35 million. That'll do us nicely. We can do some work with that, I imagine. And also £300,000 a week in wages. Loving it. Okay, but what do they expect us to achieve this season? That's the big one. So, Premier League, they are expecting us to win it. That's going to be quite tricky. We've got a very good team, but so have Chelsea, so have Manchester City. It's going to be a tricky one, that. English FA Cup, they expect us to reach the final. Again, tricky. Community Shield, don't care about. League Cup, don't care about. Europa League, they don't really care about. They want you to reach the group stage. I think that's doable. Europa League is just going to be a massive ball fest. You need a decent sized squad to get through there. So we'll keep in mind when we're looking at the squad. So next up, we're going to look at staff. They've got the best scouting setup in the league. They've got 28 scouts. They need a couple more physios. They're definitely pretty average. And the training's okay. Good goalkeeper training. Or that might be me. But that might be just me doing the training. You could probably improve the coaching setup a little bit. But we've got space for 5 more staff members. So that shouldn't be a problem whatsoever. But overall, pretty decent. We don't have to do a big rehaul. There's the team report. I'm not going to read through all these, but you can pause it if you want to have a closer look at the different stats here. There is currently a leadership void in the squad. Okay, that's quite a random way of saying it. So, next up we're going to look at the under-18s to see if there's any youth prospects. And there's a couple that jump out straight away. And that's Angel Gomez, who's a 15-year-old English player. Possible 5-star potential, and he does look very good. 15 years old, attacking midfielder, or can play on this left-hand side. Very, very good. 2-footed as well. Oh, he's making me mouth water. That sounds a bit wrong. He looks like a very good young player. Definitely keep an eye on him. Give him lots of help. Give him lots of individual training and tutoring. Next up, we've got Titus Chun, who is a Dutch player, 16 years old, possible 4.5 star, can play anywhere behind the striker, and he looks a decent prospect. Not to the level of this kid, though. Where did they pick him up from? Or has he just appeared from the abyss? But that's the one to keep an eye on. Let's have a look at the under-23s now. So decent sized squad, not too massive. I'd probably get a bit of the deadwood here, but there's not too many. Some like the Chelsea squad is ridiculously huge. So let's have a look at the big names in this one. So first up, we've got Timothy Fosu-Mensah. Most people know about this kid now. Just breaking onto the scene. 18-year-old Dutch player, 3.3 million value. Can play in central midfield, defensive midfield, or centre-back. As far as centre-back option goes, if you want him to, you could train him. He's young enough to train, obviously, but marking 10, heading 11, positioning 12 is not spectacular. I'd probably look to have him maybe more of a sort of defensive midfielder. I think is his natural go-to position, but very, very good young player. Then we've got Roshan Williams, who's only 17 years old, with ridiculous physical stats for a 17-year-old. That's almost cheating. That's dirty. He's also got 20 determination, which really helps him improve and reach that potential. He's a centre-back and needs a lot of help with his technicals. That's going to be his problems. That's what the area where you're going to need to work on him most. And the last 5-star potential is Adnan Januzaj. We know about him now. He's off on loan. I I think he probably doesn't need to be 5-star potential anymore, does he? I don't think he's quite there, but still in the game he is very, very good youngster. Pretty versatile as well. It'd be interesting to see how well he does at Sunderland in the game, and then next season you could be looking at a really, really good player. And then obviously can't go without talking about Marcus Rashford, striker. I'd move him into the. Should we just move him into the main squad? I think we should, so we can talk about him properly. And Callum Gribben, this kid's really good. I had him last year in my Leeds or Bolton save. Picked him up. Superb player, becomes an England international. He might not make it quite as well as Man United. His physicals are a little bit low, but still a very, very good player. And obviously, a bunch of other players. You've got the likes of James Wilson, who probably won't make it, but you can get some decent money for. Same as Borthwick Jackson again, 5 million each. You can make some money when they come back on loan. You've got Herrera, who's 6.7 million. You've got Anders Herrera. Andreas Pereira. There's some money to be made next season when they all come back off on loan and you don't want to use them. Right, let's look at the squad as a whole. I'm not going to go through massive detail. We're just going to sort of go through. First off, David De Gea. Brilliant. Okay, he's your next goalkeeper for the next 10 years. Perfectly fine. One of the world's best goalkeepers. Probably top 3 for me. I think he's a fantastic goalkeeper. And Sergio Romero is a decent backup. You can either keep him as a backup or bring in maybe somebody younger. You don't really need to. David Gea is 25. I'd just keep Romero, to be honest. Right, let's look at the fullback options. So the first fullback option is Antonio Valencia. I was going to say something, but I just wanted to playing out of position and stuff. 30 years old now. Has been at Man United for a good number of years, isn't he? Almost 10 years. And he can play anywhere down the right-hand side. He's a pacey player. I'd say he's a decent squad player. I wouldn't want him as my first choice right back or right winger, but I'd have him as like a backup for both, so that's not a problem. So who is going to be our main man at right back? And that's probably Matteo Darmian to start the game. 26 years old now, right-footed, but can play on the left as well. And just a pretty solid, not that great going forward, but a pretty solid fullback. At left back, we've got, finally, Luke Shaw. You remember him? He used to play football before he broke all his legs and bones. But he's back, and it's good to see him. Even though I'm a Liverpool fan, it's great to see a young, good player like this kid back in playing football. I think he's got a bit of an injury again, but I think he's well on the road to recovery. Really good left back, possibly 5-star potential. He's going to be your left back sorted for the next 10, 15 years, to be honest. Then you've got the likes of Daley Blind, who's not a left back. No matter what Jose Mourinho thinks, he's not a left back. But really good, solid, all-round defender who can pretty much fit in anywhere that needs filling. He's actually not bad as a left back on this, but he can play centre back, although he's not that great in the air, heading 12, jumping, reached 11. For me, defensive midfield is probably his best spot. And then we have, as a left-back option, we got Rojo, who is much more of a centre-back, but can fill in a left-back. So we'll talk about him more when we go through centre-backs. Then we've got Phil Jones, 24 years old. This is our first sort of centre-back option. In the game, he's 3-star. It's one of those players that was always going to be a world-class player, but it just never happened for him, wasn't it? Every year we seem to be going, look, this guy's got loads of potential. Had a few injuries, fell out of favour, hasn't had enough games in the last few years, and has just kind of dribbled out. I imagine, he won't be there too much longer. But in the game, he's still a pretty good defender, and he can fill in at right back. He's a decent right back as well, so not too bad whatsoever. Rojo, as we said, very solid centre-back option without being spectacular. Chris Smalling, he's just come on leaps and bounds. A few years ago, I would have said he's not going to make it. He's a decent player, but he's not Man United quality. Well, he is now, and he's really good in this. He's very much an old-school defender. He just does the job. No messing about. He's not going to play it out of defence or ping one from 40 yards, but very, very good. Coming into he's 26 years old now, so he's still got a few years ahead of him. And then we've got the new one, Eric Barley, as they call him. Is it Barley? Is it pronounced? Eric Bailey. It says fucking Bailey. I'm saying Bailey. But just a very good young centre-back. Can improve lots. He's only 22 years old. So that's your defensive options, really. So let's say, for instance, you go with the Barley and Smalling combo. Then you've got Rojo, Phil Jones and Daley Blind, quite all versatile players as backups. On the right, we've got Matteo Darmian, who's okay. Luke Shaw on the left is perfectly good. We do need backup, which we have. For me, I'd get a better right back. So far, from what we've looked at, if we've got the money when we talk about the transfers, I'd look to get a better right back. And have Antonio Valencia and Phil Jones as backups to that. So, central midfield, we've got Michael Carrick's been around the block for years. Just a really good playmaker. He's never going to run past anyone, but he can pass a ball. Next up, we've got Morgan Schneidling. Again, another really good central midfielder, good, well-rounded player. Then there's some kid called Paul Pogba. I've never heard of him, but apparently he's quite... Look how good he is. Fucking hell, that's ridiculous. Yeah, he's quite good, right? I think it's fair to say. And then we go from the sublime to the ridiculous. It's Marouane Fellaini. In this game, he's still really good. In real life, I think he's a massive dog turd. But really good physicals. There should be like an extra attribute for elbows. Pointy elbows, 20 would be. But there's Marouane Fellaini, defensive midfielder. You can also use him further up if you want a bit more of a sort of target man, support type player. Then we've got Ander Herrera, who in real life it's good to see him being used again because I thought he was always quality and I was surprised how little Man United were using him. Lots of sub appearances and stuff like that. If he went up for sale as a Liverpool fan, I'd have bought him in a heartbeat. But he seems to be getting more time and he's a very good advanced or deep-lying playmaker. And then you've got Wayne Rooney. We might as well include him in the central midfield options because apparently that's what he is now. But he can be behind the striker. He's not a first choice in any of those positions, but it's a nice player to have on the bench as an impact striker, sub, or attacking midfield, or central midfield. So nice to have those sort of players on the bench, but he's not your first choice anymore. So pretty solid. I'm very happy with the central midfield. There's no fixing needs to be done. Obviously, it's Paul Pogba and one other if you're going to be playing that way. Let's look at the wingers. So, Jesse Lingard is the sort of homegrown talent, and he's okay in this, 23 years old. Scouts don't think he'll improve too much, but he's a decent squad player and versatile as well, so I'm happy enough with him. Was it Mkhitaryan? I can't remember his name. I've heard it pronounced loads of times, and it just won't go in my brain, so I'm going to call him Henrik. Mkhitaryan, isn't it? Okay, I like Henrik. So we're going for Henrik. So this is Henrik, 27 years old. Sounds weird saying it now. Very, very good new signing. I don't understand why we haven't seen more of him in real life this season, but very, very good. Can play on this right-hand side as a wing. He's two-footed, which is really nice. Inside forward or even a winger. Both are pretty good. He's got enough pace to be a winger. His crossing needs a little bit of work, but all behind the striker. So really versatile player to have. Really nice. Then we've got Anthony Martial, who is a striker, despite what Jose Mourinho thinks, despite what this game thinks. He is a striker, and we shall talk about him as such. 4-star, possible 5-star potential, superb player. In reality, you can play him as an inside forward if you so choose, or up top. I like up top, but you might need to fit him in. Next, we've got Ashley Young, who starts transfer listed. You might want to keep him if you need a backup option. He's only valued at 8 million. He starts the game listed. That wasn't me, honest. Then we've got Juan Mata, the Chelsea reject. Very, very good. His physicals are lacking a little bit, but still a star player behind that striker on the right-hand side. Then we've got Rushford, as we talked about earlier. Tons of pace, bags of potential, can play all across the top. But Jose, he's a striker, okay? Maybe Jose plays Football Manager and he's seen that, oh look, Rashford can play anywhere. I might start playing him on the wing. I know he did that in some of his youth days, but fucking hell. Watch Rashford for 5 minutes and you'll realise he's a striker. Sorry, I'm not going to rant. Then we've got Memphis, who apparently was going to be an amazing footballer. I was gutted when Man United signed him. I would have taken him at Liverpool, and then he's just been utter shite. It's fair to say, I think most in the game he's still good. I think most Man United fans would agree how surprised they were how bad he is. He's still 22 years old, so he can improve a lot. Definitely one to keep in the squad on that inside forward position. And then you've got Zlatan up front. 34 years old, but still beautifully balanced player. His physicals are amazing for a 34-year-old. They will start to drop off, but you're going to get a couple of years out of this guy. What's his contract? He's only got a year contract. Is that what he's earning? I would have thought he was probably earning more than that in real life. You could easily give this guy another year. He's definitely going to survive. You know, the cull that is age that takes down your physicals because they're so high. So let's have a look at the team, broad view, and see where we can improve upon. So how much did we have? 31 million, right? So for me, I'm getting him right back in. Darmian's okay, but Valencia's a perfectly good backup. You could sell Valencia and have Darmian as a backup if you wanted, but you can make a lot of money out of Darmian. He's been there a couple of seasons. He's not really done it for me. Sell him on. If you get 20 million for him, you could easily get a proper good right back position. Left side is Luke Shaw. That's fine. Centre back partnership. I might get one more centre back in, like a Nicolas Sewell or somebody like that can compete, because you've got good centre backs, but you're kind of squeezing players that aren't quite made for their positions. Like Phil Jones is a good all rounder. He's a very good centre back, but he plays other positions. And Daley Blind, not really a centre back. Obviously Rojo's a better centre back, but not world class type thing. I maybe get, if I had the money, a centre back. So that's a right back and a centre back. Central midfield, don't have an issue with whatsoever. Formation wise, I'm going to be looking at playing a flat back 4 with attacking fullbacks. It's my sort of preferred formation, but I think it works well with this team because Luke Shaw is a good attacking fullback. I'd get a good attacking fullback on the right hand side and play perhaps 3 in the middle with the likes of Pogba, Schneiderlin, Carrick. Carrick I think will be my main backup because he's 34 years old now, but obviously Paul Pogba and the likes of Herrera playing, and then I'd play Zlatan up front, and then I'd play the likes of, I'd probably go for like Martial on the left to make sure he's getting game time. With thinking of the long-term future, I would go Martial as my main striker, but Zlatan's amazing, so for the time being, Martial on this left-hand side. I would sell Ashley Young, mainly because I hate him, but I'd sell Ashley Young, he's not that good, and I maybe bring in a right-hand side, but you've got Henrik, haven't you? You've got Henrik. No, I think you're pretty well balanced. I'd play front 3 with Zlatan leading the line. You could have an attacking midfielder dropping in behind because you've got the likes of Juan Mata, and Herrera can do that as well. That would be quite nice. You could even easily retrain Paul Pogba to play one of those attacking midfield positions just to get him more up top of the pitch where the good stuff happens and getting himself some more goals. That might be quite fun, and it wouldn't take him long to retrain. He's got the stats for it. He could pretty much play anything. Look, you could play him as a centre back and he wouldn't be that bad. Ridiculous player. But there you go, guys. I hope I wasn't too biased and I spoke some sense about Man United. I think I've been pretty fair. Let me know what you think of the team as a whole, where you'd sort of strengthen as your first choice. How are you going to play this front 3 or front 4? You can play 2 strikers up front, so therefore you could play 2 easily up front and use Ibrahimovic and Martial as your 2 main strikers with the likes of Rashford and Wayne Rooney as your backups. That could be perfectly useful as well, but I just think you've got so much midfield talent that's where I'd really want to get the guts into. So let me know what you think, guys. Please leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. I've just punched my monitor. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. I've got lots of FM17 content, lots of series and stuff. We're doing some experiments when the full game comes out and all that good stuff, and I'll see you bright and early in the next video. Thank you, guys. Bye bye.